Sam Martinez stood at the viewport, watching as the transport ship approached Centauri Station. The massive structure gleamed against the backdrop of stars, its multiple rings rotating slowly around a central hub. After 3 weeks of interstellar travel, he had finally arrived at the Galactic Union Academy. "First time off-world?" asked the blue-skinned Aquarian standing next to him. Sam nodded. "First human exchange student this year." The Aquarian's gills fluttered in what Sam recognized as their version of surprise. "Earth, right? The Deathworld?" Sam tried not to sigh. He had gotten this reaction throughout the journey. "Class 12 Deathworld, officially, but we just call it home." The Aquarian moved slightly away as if Sam might suddenly display dangerous abilities. Before Sam could say anything else, the ship's AI announced their docking procedures were underway. Sam gathered his belongings, a single duffel bag containing everything he was allowed to bring from Earth. The Galactic Union had strict biosecurity, protocols for Deathworld species, and nearly everything he owned had been deemed too dangerous or contaminated to bring aboard the station. As he stepped through the airlock onto Centauri Station, Sam's body immediately registered the difference. The gravity was set to a universal standard, about 80% of Earth's pull. The air felt thin but breathable, with a slightly sweet smell he couldn't identify. A woman with the distinctive blue uniform of the human embassy waited for him. "Sam Martinez? I'm Lily Donovan, your liaison officer." She reached out and shook his hand firmly. "Welcome to Centauri Station." "Thanks," Sam said, feeling suddenly overwhelmed by the vastness of the station's docking bay. Alien species of every description moved about, some floating, others crawling, many walking on various numbers of limbs. "It's a lot to take in." Lily smiled knowingly. "You'll get used to it. Humans have only been allowed to attend the academy for 5 years now. We're still something of a novelty here." "Because we're from a death world?" Sam asked. "Exactly. Most species evolved on much more hospitable planets. They find us fascinating and a little terrifying." She gestured toward a transport pod. "Come on, let's get you to your quarters so you can rest before orientation tomorrow." The journey through Centauri Station was like nothing Sam had ever experienced. They traveled through areas with different atmospheric compositions, separated by shimmering force fields that somehow knew exactly which gases should be allowed through for each individual passing. The architecture seemed impossible. Soaring ceilings, gravity-defying structures, and materials that changed properties as they watched. "The station houses over 200 different species," Lily explained as they rode a gravity lift to the human-compatible sector, each requiring their own environmental conditions. It's a marvel of cooperative engineering. Sam's quarters were small but comfortable, designed to approximate Earth conditions. The gravity was set to Earth normal, the air composition adjusted to match his home planet's atmosphere. "Get some rest," Lily advised. "Tomorrow is your first day of classes. The Academy has high expectations for human students." After she left, Sam unpacked his few possessions and sat on the edge of his bed. He activated his personal communicator and called home. His father's face appeared on the screen, the familiar surroundings of their Kansas home in the background. "Sam, you made it." "Hey, Dad. Yeah, just got to my room." "How was the journey? Any space sickness?" Sam shook his head. "I'm fine. The station is incredible. Everything is so alien." His father laughed. "Well, to them you're the alien. Remember what I told you?" "Show them what Earthlings are made of," Sam recited with a small smile. "That's right. You earned your place there. Don't let anyone make you feel less because we come from a death world." After talking with his father, Sam felt more grounded. He reviewed his class schedule for the next day: xenobiology, interspecies communication, galactic history, and applied physics. His nervousness returned as he wondered how he would measure up against species that had been part of the Galactic Union for thousands of years. The next morning, Sam entered Professor Zichtal's xenobiology classroom and immediately felt every alien eye or sensory organ turned toward him. There were 28 students representing 28 different species, and now one human. Professor Zichtal was a tall, insect-like being with multiple compound eyes and delicate, translucent wings that hummed softly as he moved. "Ah, our new human student has arrived. Sam Martinez, please take your seat." Sam found the only empty station designed to accommodate human physiology. As he sat down, he noticed the students closest to him subtly moving their workstations farther away. "Now that we are all here," Professor Zichtal continued, "today we begin our unit on evolutionary adaptations to planetary conditions. How fitting that we now have a representative from a Class 12 Deathworld among us." Sam felt his face grow warm as the entire class turned to stare at him again. "Perhaps you would care to share with us, Sam Martinez, how your species survived on such a hostile planet," the professor asked. Sam cleared his throat. "Well, Earth isn't really that hostile to us since we evolved there. It's just home." A crystalline being that seemed to glow from within spoke up. "Is it true humans can survive radiation levels that would kill most species? Or that your skeletal structure can repair itself after breaking?" asked another student, with pale, translucent skin. "Or that humans intentionally consume compounds that are mild poisons as recreational substances?" added a floating orb-like creature. Sam blinked, surprised at the barrage of questions. Yes to all of those, I guess. Though I wouldn't recommend breaking bones for fun." Professor Zichtal's antennae twitched with interest. "Fascinating. It seems our class has found its first assignment. Each of you will prepare a presentation on your homeworld's ecosystem and how your species has adapted to survive there. We will begin presentations next week." As class ended, the other students filed out quickly, giving Sam a wide berth. Only one stopped nearby, the insectoid student who resembled a smaller version of Professor Zichtal. "I am Vreen," the student introduced himself, "from Azalea Prime." "Nice to meet you," Sam replied, extending his hand before remembering that not all species appreciated physical contact. He awkwardly lowered it. Vreen's compound eyes studied Sam intently. "Is it true that humans intentionally expose themselves to extreme temperatures for pleasure? I have read about your saunas and ice swimming." Sam couldn't help but smile. "Yeah, some of us do. My grandfather loves his sauna." "Remarkable." Vreen's antennae quivered. "Your presentation next week will be most educational." As Sam left the classroom, he realized that his father was right. Being from Earth, a planet that most galactic species considered barely habitable, made him different, but it also made him interesting. For the first time since arriving, he felt a surge of pride in being human. He straightened his shoulders and walked with more confidence toward his next class, ready to show the Galactic Union Academy exactly what Earthlings were made of. The week passed quickly as Sam adjusted to life on Centauri Station. He learned to navigate the complex transport system, discovered which food synthesizers produced items closest to Earth cuisine, and gradually became accustomed to the constant presence of alien species around him. Still, he felt isolated. Most students remained wary of him. A reaction he now understood came from genuine concern about his Deathworld physiology. Sam spent his evenings researching and preparing his presentation. He wanted to show his classmates what Earth was really like, not just the dangerous aspects that had earned it the Class 12 Deathworld designation, but also its beauty and diversity. When presentation day arrived, Sam entered Professor Zichtal's classroom with a small data crystal containing his materials. He took his seat and watched as other students shared information about their homeworlds. A gaseous entity named Zor floated to the front of the class and projected images of a pink-skied world with gentle rolling terrain. "On Nebula 4, our atmosphere nurtures all life forms. We have no natural disasters, no dangerous predators, and stable weather patterns year-round." Next came Orion, the crystalline being. Their homeworld consisted of vast mineral plains where crystal-based life forms absorbed energy directly from their binary suns. "The most dangerous thing on our planet is falling into a growth chasm, but our sensory abilities detect these from kilometers away," Orion explained. When Vreen presented, on Azalea Prime, Sam learned that the insectoid's homeworld was a lush garden planet with minimal environmental threats. "Our most dangerous creature is the wandering grazer," Vreen explained, showing an image of a docile-looking herbivore. They occasionally trample unwary travelers who sleep on migration paths. Sam noticed a pattern as each student presented. Most came from worlds that would seem like paradise to humans, stable environments with few natural dangers. The class reacted with appropriate interest to each presentation, asking polite questions and taking notes. Finally, Professor Zigtal called Sam's name. "Now let us hear about Earth, our Class 12 Deathworld." Sam took a deep breath as he walked to the front of the classroom. Every eye, sensory stalk, and visual receptor focused on him with intensity he hadn't seen during the other presentations. "Earth has an average surface gravity of 9.8 meters per second squared," Sam began, displaying Earth's basic statistics. "Our atmosphere is primarily nitrogen and oxygen, with trace elements that would be toxic to some species here," he continued, with facts about Earth's size, rotation, and orbit. Then he paused, considering how to introduce the more dramatic information. "Earth has dynamic weather systems that create what we call natural disasters," Sam explained. He projected a holographic image of a tornado. "This is from my region, what we call Tornado Alley. These wind funnels can reach speeds of over 300 kilometers per hour." A collective gasp went through the classroom. One floating orb-like student actually changed color from green to alarmed. "Yellow. My family has an underground shelter in our home specifically for these events," Sam added casually. "Most homes in my region do." Professor Ziegtal's antennae twitched rapidly. "You build your dwellings in areas regularly devastated by such phenomena?" Sam nodded. "Those areas are also excellent for agriculture." He moved on to display images of Earth's varied terrains: mountains, deserts, oceans, and jungles. For each, he mentioned the particular challenges they presented: avalanches, sandstorms, hurricanes, and dangerous wildlife. "Humans have adapted to live in virtually every environment on our planet," Sam explained. "We've developed technologies to withstand extreme cold, heat, pressure, and other conditions." Freen raised a limb. "Is it true that Earth has multiple apex predator species that specifically evolved to hunt humans?" Sam thought about how to answer. "Not exactly evolved to hunt humans specifically, but yes, we share our planet with several predator species that can and sometimes do attack humans. Bears, sharks, big cats like lions and tigers, crocodiles, venomous snakes and spiders." He displayed images of each as he named them. The classroom erupted in shocked buzzing and translator-mediated exclamations. "And you coexist with these creatures?" asked Orion, their crystalline form pulsing with what Sam recognized as agitation. "We try to maintain safe distances," Sam explained, "but many humans also study these animals. We have specialists called wildlife biologists who work closely with dangerous species to understand and protect them." "Protect them?" Zor's gaseous form swirled in evident confusion. "Why would you protect creatures that hunt you?" "Biodiversity is important to Earth's ecosystem," Sam explained. "Every species plays a role. Humans are just one species among millions on our planet." He moved on to discuss other aspects of Earth, showing images of humans swimming in oceans, climbing mountains, exploring caves, and engaging in activities that clearly appeared risky to his classmates. "This is considered recreational?" "Professor," Ziegtal asked, his compound eyes fixed on an image of skydivers. "Yes," Sam confirmed. "Many humans seek out challenges and thrills. We call them adrenaline junkies, people who enjoy the rush of hormones our bodies produce in dangerous situations." When Sam finished his presentation, the classroom was unusually quiet. He returned to his seat, uncertain how to interpret the silence. Professor Ziegtal finally spoke. "That was illuminating, Sam Martinez. I would like to speak with you privately after class." As the other students filed out, many now looked at Sam with new expressions. Not just fear, but something closer to awe. Freen lingered nearby, clearly wanting to speak but hesitant. "Was something wrong with my presentation?" Sam asked Professor Ziegtal when they were alone. The professor's wings hummed softly. "Not wrong, but concerning. I had not fully appreciated the conditions under which humans developed. It explains much about your species' reputation, our reputation, for resilience, for problem-solving, for what some species call recklessness. Professor Zichtal's antennae dipped in what Sam recognized as a respectful gesture. It is remarkable that a species would evolve intelligence and civilization in such hostile conditions. Sam wasn't sure how to respond. Earth had never seemed particularly hostile to him. As he left the classroom, he found Vreen waiting in the corridor. "Your presentation was most educational," the insectoid said. Would you be willing to tell me more about Earth?" Before Sam could answer, another human approached, a young woman with dark skin and curly hair pulled back in a tight bun. "Nice job in there," she said with a grin. "I'm Natalie Wright, Anthropology Department, and you've just become the talk of the entire academy." "What?" Sam asked, confused. Natalie laughed. "Word travels fast here. By dinner time, every student will know about the human who grew up dodging tornadoes and swimming with sharks. Better get ready for a lot more attention." Sam entered the academy cafeteria the next day and paused at the entrance. The large space hummed with activity as students from dozens of species gathered to eat their midday meal. Different sections of the cafeteria were designed to accommodate various biological needs: atmospheric bubbles for gaseous entities, mineral nutrient stations for crystalline life forms, and standard food dispensers for oxygen breathers. Sam collected a tray of synthesized food designed to approximate Earth cuisine: a sandwich, an apple, and what claimed to be coffee, but tasted slightly metallic. He searched for an empty table, feeling the weight of many eyes following him. He found a quiet corner and sat down alone, but had barely taken his first bite when a familiar insectoid form approached. "May I join you?" Vreen asked, his translator rendering his clicks and buzzes into English. "Sure," Sam replied, surprised. Vreen carefully placed his tray of nutrient paste on the table. He had barely settled when Orion, the crystalline being from class, floated over. "Is this seat taken?" they asked, their voice a melodious chime. Before Sam could answer, two more students approached: Kaz, an amphibious being from Hydros III, and a hovering entity named Pell, whose species Sam couldn't identify. Within minutes, Sam found himself surrounded by curious aliens, all eager to hear more about Earth. His quiet lunch had turned into an impromptu gathering. "Is it true you lived through one of those tornadoes?" Kaz asked, blinking large globe-like eyes. Sam nodded. "Several. They're common where I grew up." "And you actually swim in your oceans?" Pell asked. "Even though they contain predators that could consume you?" "Well, shark attacks are pretty rare," Sam explained. "You just need to be careful where and when you swim." "Tell us more about Earth," Vreen urged. "What was your most dangerous experience?" Sam thought for a moment. He hadn't expected to become a storyteller, but he could see genuine interest in the alien faces around him. "When I was 13, my family lived through a Category 4 hurricane," Sam began. "That's a massive storm system with winds over 200 kilometers per hour. We had to board up our windows and store emergency supplies." The aliens leaned in closer, entranced. "The power went out for a week. Trees fell all around our neighborhood. The streets flooded, but we were prepared. My parents taught me from a young age how to handle emergency situations." "Your parents intentionally trained you to survive catastrophes?" Orion asked, their crystalline form pulsing with what Sam had come to recognize as excitement. "All human. Parents do to some extent," Sam explained. "It's just part of growing up on Earth." He told them about his first camping trip in the mountains, where his father taught him to watch for signs of approaching weather, how to store food to avoid attracting bears, and what to do if he encountered a venomous snake. With each story, the crowd around Sam grew. Students who had previously avoided him now listened with fascination. Sam realized that what seemed like ordinary experiences to him were thrilling adventures to these beings from safer worlds. From across the cafeteria, Dean Zorbach observed the gathering with concern. The senior administrator, a tall, avian being with iridescent feathers, turned to a colleague. "Another human causing disruption," Dean Zorbach muttered. "First that girl Natalie organizing inappropriate cultural exchanges, and now this new one gathering crowds." Sam was in the middle of describing how his high school sports team had continued practicing, despite a minor earthquake when Natalie arrived. carrying her own tray. "Room for one more?" she asked with a grin, pulling up a chair. The aliens made space, some seeming excited to have two humans at the table. "I heard you've been telling stories," Natalie said. "I've got a few of my own if anyone's interested. Grew up in the Australian outback. Ever heard of box jellyfish? Most venomous marine animal on Earth." The aliens gasped collectively. "You humans? Live among so many lethal creatures," Vreen observed. "How do you manage to survive?" "We learn," Natalie shrugged. "We adapt. We figure out which plants are safe to eat, which animals to avoid, how to predict weather patterns. It's just normal for us." "What amazes me," Orion chimed in, "is that despite all these threats, humans spend time on art, music, philosophy, and exploration. You didn't just survive on your Deathworld. You thrived." Sam had never thought about it that way. To him, Earth was just home, not some impossible environment that should have prevented civilization from developing. After lunch, Sam headed to his next class, but was stopped in the corridor by Kaz. "Several of us were talking," the amphibian said, water bubbling through the respirator that kept his gills moist. "We would like to experience Earth conditions, if possible." "Experience them? How?" Sam asked. "The Academy has a virtual reality training facility," Kaz explained. "It can simulate various environments for research and education. Would you be willing to help program some Earth scenarios?" Sam considered the idea. "I guess I could. What kind of scenarios are you thinking about?" "Simple survival situations," Kaz suggested. To better understand how humans developed such resilience, word of the proposed Earth simulations spread quickly. By dinner time, Sam had received messages from over 20 students interested in participating. Even Professor Zichtal expressed academic interest in observing the project. Sam found Natalie in the library that evening and told her about the sudden demand for Earth simulations. "Not surprised," she said. "I've been here 2 years, and most species still can't wrap their heads around how we live. They're fascinated by us." "But why?" Sam asked. "We're just ordinary humans," Natalie laughed. "Ordinary by Earth standards. By galactic standards, we're practically superheroes. Think about it. We can withstand radiation levels that would kill most species. We can survive in temperature ranges that would freeze or cook others. We can eat foods that would be toxic to many, and our bones can heal after breaking. Plus, we voluntarily do things most species consider insanely dangerous, like climbing mountains or diving in oceans." "When you put it that way," Sam admitted, "I guess we are pretty impressive." "The Academy has only allowed human students for 5 years," Natalie explained. "We're still novelties. Your stories have just reminded everyone why humans are both fascinating and a little terrifying." As they talked, Sam noticed Dean Zorbak watching them from across the library, his feathers ruffled in what seemed like disapproval. "Not everyone's thrilled about our popularity," Sam observed quietly. "Some administrators worry about human influence," Natalie said. "They think we're too unpredictable, too adventurous. They're afraid we'll encourage other species to take unnecessary risks." "Are they wrong?" Sam asked with a small smile. Natalie grinned back. "Probably not." "So, are you going to help set up these Earth simulations?" Sam nodded. "I think I will, if they want to understand humans better. Experiencing a little bit of Earth might be the best way." "Well then," Natalie said, "get ready to become the most popular exchange student in Academy history. Nothing draws a crowd like a chance to safely experience a Deathworld." Sam stood in the Academy's virtual reality training center, surrounded by holographic projectors and environmental simulators. The large room could recreate almost any planetary condition, from the methane lakes of Titan to the crystal forests of Orion's homeworld. Today it would simulate Earth. "The system needs detailed environmental parameters," explained Carol Fisher, the human VR programmer, who had agreed to help Sam. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and quick, precise movements. "What Earth environment should we start with?" "Something simple," Sam suggested. "Maybe a forest hike in the Rocky Mountains, moderate difficulty, basic survival challenges." Carol nodded and began entering data. Temperature range, Oxygen levels, gravity, and what hazards should we include? Weather changes, terrain challenges, maybe some wildlife encounters? Nothing too extreme for the first simulation. Word had spread quickly about the Earth survival experience. Despite Dean Zorbach's attempts to discourage participation, claiming it had limited educational value, students signed up in droves. What had started as casual interest after Sam's stories had grown into the most popular unofficial activity on campus. "We'll need to run several sessions," Carol said, looking at the long list of participants. "I've never seen this much interest in a human environment simulation." The next day, Sam waited in the control room with Carol as the first group of alien students prepared to enter the simulation. Vreen, Orion, Kaz, and 3 others stood in the center of the VR chamber, wearing sensor suits that would allow them to feel environmental changes. "Remember," Sam spoke through the communication system, "this is a beginner-level Earth hike. The goal is to follow the trail to the campsite while dealing with normal Earth conditions. We can end the simulation any time if it becomes too intense." The aliens nodded, clearly excited and nervous. Carol activated the program, and the blank chamber transformed. Holographic trees appeared, along with rocky paths, flowing streams, and a blue sky dotted with clouds. Wind generators created gentle breezes, temperature regulators adjusted to a cool mountain morning, and the gravity increased slightly to match Earth's pull. "Begin your hike," Sam instructed. "Follow the marked trail." What Sam had considered a simple walk in the woods quickly proved challenging for his alien classmates. Vreen struggled with the uneven terrain, his insectoid legs designed for the flat surfaces of Azalea Prime. Orion found the humidity uncomfortable, their crystalline structure more suited to dry environments. Kaz enjoyed the streams but had difficulty with uphill climbs and Earth's stronger gravity. From the control room, Sam watched their progress on monitors. "Should we make it easier?" he asked Carol. She shook her head. "They're learning. That's the point." 2 hours into the simulation, Carol introduced the first challenge, a sudden weather change. Dark clouds rolled in and a light rain began to fall. The temperature dropped several degrees. "What is happening?" Orion asked, their voice anxious as water droplets landed on their crystalline surface. "Normal Earth weather," Sam explained through the communication system. "Rain is coming. You need to find shelter and possibly adjust your clothing." The aliens looked around frantically, unused to rapidly changing conditions. Eventually, Kaz spotted a rocky overhang that offered some protection from the increasing rainfall. As the simulation continued, Sam added more challenges, a fallen tree blocking the path, requiring them to problem-solve, the sounds of distant predators, teaching them to distinguish between threatening and non-threatening wildlife, a river crossing that tested their ability to assess water safety. By the time the 3-hour simulation ended, none of the aliens had completed the hike to the campsite. They emerged from the chamber exhausted but animated. "That was just a beginner-level Earth experience?" Vreen asked, his antenna quivering with what Sam now recognized as excitement mixed with disbelief. "Pretty basic stuff," Sam confirmed. "Nothing dangerous by human standards." "The constant need to adapt was overwhelming," Orion commented. "Just, as we adjusted to one condition, another would change." "That's Earth," Natalie said, having joined them to observe the simulation's end, "always throwing something new at you. It's why humans are so flexible in our thinking." News of the simulation spread through the academy like wildfire. The second group of students arrived with better preparation, having studied Earth conditions after hearing about the first group's experiences. They performed slightly better, but still found the basic Earth environment challenging. By the end of the week, Sam had run 6 different groups through the simulation. Not one alien student had completed the beginner course. However, their enthusiasm remained high, with many requesting more difficult scenarios. "They're determined," Carol observed as they programmed a desert survival simulation for the following week. "I've never seen non-human species so interested in Earth environments." Dean Zorbach appeared at the control room door, his feathers neatly groomed but his expression stern. "Mr. Martinez, a word please." Sam followed the dean into the corridor. "These simulations have become quite popular," Dean Zorbak said, his translator giving his voice a clipped, formal tone. "Yes, sir. The students seem really interested in learning about Earth. That's precisely my concern. The Galactic Union Academy focuses on universal knowledge, not planet-specific survival skills." The dean's crest feathers rose slightly. "Some faculty members worry that you're promoting unnecessarily dangerous activities." "With respect, sir, understanding different planetary conditions is educational," Sam replied. "The students are learning about adaptation and problem-solving, not just Earth survival." "Perhaps," Dean Zorbak conceded reluctantly, "but I must insist on faculty supervision for all future simulations, and no extreme scenarios." After the dean left, Natalie approached, having overheard the conversation. "He's fighting a losing battle," she said. "The alien students talk about nothing but Earth now. You've made humans the most fascinating species on campus." In the days that followed, Sam's dormitory became an unofficial gathering place for students. Eager to learn more about Earth, Freen became a regular visitor, as did Orion and several others who had participated in the simulations. They brought questions, theories, and a genuine desire to understand human adaptability. "What Earth environment should we simulate next?" Freen asked one evening as a group gathered in Sam's small quarters. "Maybe an urban environment?" Kaz suggested. "I'm curious about how humans navigate their constructed habitats." "Or ocean survival," added another student. "Earth's oceans cover most of the planet, correct?" Sam smiled at their enthusiasm. What had begun as simple curiosity about a Deathworld had evolved into something more significant. A genuine cross-species cultural exchange centered around understanding Earth and its human inhabitants. That night, Sam received a message from Professor Ziektal. "Your Earth simulations have sparked considerable academic interest. Several faculty members, myself included, would like to observe the next session. Perhaps you've stumbled onto something with educational value beyond what Dean Zorbak anticipated." Sam read the message twice, feeling a sense of pride. Without intending to, he had become an ambassador for Earth, changing perceptions of his homeworld from a dangerous curiosity to a place worthy of serious study. His stories were no longer just entertainment. They were building bridges between species who might otherwise never understand each other. 3 months after Sam's first Earth simulation, the Academy's attitude toward human students had changed dramatically. What began as casual interest had evolved into formal study. Professor Ziektal now offered a course called Adaptations of Deathworld Species, with Sam and Natalie serving as teaching assistants. Even Dean Zorbak had softened his stance, acknowledging the educational value of understanding Earth's unique challenges. Sam sat in the simulation control room, watching, as Vreen successfully completed the moderate difficulty Earth survival course. The insectoid had become the first non-human to achieve this milestone, having dedicated himself to understanding Earth environments with remarkable determination. "Simulation complete," the computer announced. "Survival objectives achieved." Vreen emerged from the chamber, his exoskeleton glistening with simulated sweat. "I did it!" he exclaimed, his translator barely keeping up with his excited clicks and buzzes. "Congratulations," Sam said, genuinely impressed. "You handled that flash flood perfectly." "I remembered your stories about growing up near water," Vreen replied. "How you learned to judge rising water levels by watching debris movement." Sam hadn't realized how closely Vreen had been listening to his casual stories. What had started as lunchroom tales had become valuable survival knowledge for his alien friend. Later that day, Sam attended a meeting in the Academy's main conference room. The circular chamber, designed to accommodate all species, buzzed with activity. Faculty members, administrators, and a few select students had gathered to meet a special visitor, Admiral Elena Vasquez, Earth's representative to the Galactic Union Council. Admiral Vasquez was a tall, imposing woman with silver-streaked black hair and the confident bearing of someone accustomed to command. She wore the blue and gold uniform of Earth's Space Command, adorned with medals and insignia that marked her distinguished career. Dean Zorbak made the introductions. Admiral Vasquez has requested to observe our Earth environment simulations. The Council has taken interest in the cultural exchange that has developed here. Sam felt nervous as the Admiral's sharp eyes assessed him. He was just a student who had told some stories about growing up on Earth. He hadn't expected to draw attention from such high-ranking officials. The group moved to the simulation chamber where Carol had prepared a demonstration, a moderate hurricane scenario based on Sam's childhood experiences. Several alien students who had been training in Earth simulations for weeks volunteered to participate while the Admiral watched. "Begin simulation," Carol announced. The chamber transformed into a coastal town under darkening skies. Wind generators created increasingly powerful gusts as holographic storm clouds gathered. The alien participants moved with surprising coordination, securing loose objects, boarding up windows, and preparing emergency supplies just as Sam had described in his stories. "They've been practicing," Admiral Vasquez observed. "They have," Sam confirmed. "Some train daily in Earth simulations." "Why?" the Admiral asked directly. Sam considered his answer carefully. At first it was curiosity. Earth seemed exotic and dangerous to them. But now, "I think they've found something valuable in how humans approach problems." The simulation progressed to the height of the storm. The aliens faced rising water, power outages, and structural damage to their shelter. Using techniques learned from Sam's stories and previous simulations, they adapted to each new challenge. When the simulation ended, Admiral Vasquez nodded thoughtfully. "Impressive. They're applying human survival strategies effectively." The Admiral requested a private meeting with Sam, Natalie, and the alien students who had become most involved in the Earth studies. They gathered in a small conference room, away from the faculty and administrators. "I'll be direct," Admiral Vasquez said once they were alone. "When humans first joined the Galactic Union, many species viewed us with suspicion. Our Deathworld origins made us seem unpredictable, possibly dangerous. Some council members questioned whether humans could ever truly integrate with galactic society. Sam had heard rumors of these concerns but hadn't realized they reached such high levels. What you've accomplished here," the Admiral continued, "has changed some minds. You've transformed human adaptability from something feared into something studied and even admired." "It wasn't intentional," Sam admitted. "I just told some stories about growing up on Earth. Sometimes the most effective diplomacy is unintentional." Admiral Vasquez smiled slightly. "The Council is considering a proposal to expand this cultural exchange. A limited program for non-human academy students to visit Earth under controlled conditions." The alien students reacted with surprised excitement. Vreen's antennae quivered rapidly, and Orion's crystalline form pulsed with bright light. "A real visit to Earth?" Kaz asked, his amphibious eyes wide. "Not just simulations?" "With appropriate safety measures," the Admiral confirmed. "We'd start with the most adaptable species and environments least dangerous to them. They'd need extensive preparation," Natalie pointed out. "Which is why we need you," Admiral Vasquez said. "Both of you. Your stories and simulations have laid the groundwork. The Council wants you to help develop a formal training program for potential Earth visitors." Sam felt overwhelmed. He had come to the Academy to study xenobiology, not to become a cultural ambassador for Earth. But looking at his alien friends, seeing their excitement at the possibility of visiting his homeworld, he couldn't help but feel proud of what had developed from his simple lunchroom stories. 2 weeks later, Sam stood in the Academy's main shuttle bay with Natalie and a small group of selected alien students. They had been chosen as the first test group for the Earth visitation program. After rigorous training and countless simulations, they were deemed ready for a short, supervised trip to Earth. Dean Zorback approached as they prepared to board. His feathers, once ruffled with concern whenever humans were involved, now lay, smooth against his avian form. "Mr. Martinez," he said formally, "when you arrived at this academy, I feared your Deathworld origins would be disruptive. I did not anticipate that you would create one of our most successful interspecies initiatives." "Thank you, sir," Sam replied, surprised by the compliment. "You've done more for human-alien relations in 3 months than many diplomats achieve in years," the dean continued. "The Academy is grateful." As they boarded the shuttle, Sam sat next to Vreen, who was examining Earth atmospheric data on a portable screen. "Nervous?" Sam asked his insectoid friend. "Excited," Vreen corrected, his translator capturing the enthusiastic tone of his clicks. "To think 3 months ago I was afraid to sit near you in class. Now I'm traveling to your Deathworld. It's just home to me," Sam reminded him with a smile. As the shuttle departed, Sam looked through the viewport at Centauri Station growing smaller behind them. He thought about how much had changed since his arrival. He had come as a nervous exchange student, uncertain of his place in the galactic community. Now he was leading the first ever group of alien visitors to Earth. Vreen joined him at the viewport, his compound eyes focused on the blue-green planet appearing in the distance. "I never thought I'd be excited to visit a Deathworld," Vreen said, quietly. "Maybe that's the point," Sam replied. "What seems dangerous to one species can be home to another. Understanding that difference is what brings us together." The shuttle continued its approach to Earth, carrying its diverse crew toward the planet that had once been considered too dangerous for galactic society, but was now the destination for a new kind of interstellar exchange, one built on stories, simulations, and the remarkable adaptability of life from across the stars.